Well, hello, friends. Welcome to From Busy to Rich podcast with Wes Young. This podcast is designed to help advisors increase their profitability and their quality of life. We're kicking off a brand new series. Actually, we're kind of into it at this point. So if you haven't heard the others, go back. And I'm excited about this one as we focus even more deeply on the practically pretty idea, which is 10 truths to make your business beautiful. So Wes, can you kind of catch us up? We're almost halfway into it now. So tell us maybe what folks have missed and summarize it for us.
Yeah. Let me give you a brief recap. So the big idea here is that there are areas of our lives that we all care about. And you could lump them into like big ones: physical, relational, financial, spiritual, professional. And some people in their life, you observe them walking through life and they just seem to be having a great run at life in these areas. They do life pretty. And what I mean by that is like better than most. Well, like you observe them and they are beautiful at these way they do life, the way whether it's their business life, their financial, their spiritual, their physical, the relationships that they're in. And we've had the benefit in the work we do here to really audit hundreds, if not thousands by this point, Andy, and you as well, of advisor practices, of business owners. And we observe a lot of ways forward. There's a ton of ways people can do this business. Yeah. But man, some of them just seem to be having a great time and a great life, and they do this business well. They're lighter. And when you look at them, you might like kind of go, what is it about them? Right? What are there universal truths out there that if I go across those, and I would say, hey, I like the way they're doing that. I like their rhythm. I like what their practice is very pretty. Are there common denominators? And after a lot of deep dive into this, what we've determined is there is that there are truths out there that when we discover them and apply them, it will make our lives better and make us better at life and make our practices pretty. And that's really the big idea of the first one we did, which is the premise behind this whole deal, is that practical teaching, when you discover it and apply it, it's going to make your life better, make you better at life, and make your practice beautiful.
I don't know if you've seen this before, Wes, where they've got the NFL films and they have, this, I think they still do it, where they have kind of a slow motion of a football play sort of developing. And when you do it in slow motion, it actually can be beautiful. It's sort of like this, like, wow, there's like this elegance to it. But if you do it full time, it's like chaos and it's raw, and but there is a beauty to, they slow it down. You see the ball come off the quarterback's hand and receiver, there's this beauty to it. And I think that's what we're talking about. We're talking about if you slow something down, if you really dig into someone's life, like, wow, there is an order to it. There is a beauty to it. And I think what we're going to tap into is something that everyone who's listening right now will resonate with, which is when how many times have you asked yourself the question, like, how did they do that? Why does it seem easy for them? Like, why is it when they touch things, they turn to gold, so to speak, right? And so for the most part, though, our problem is not that we don't have enough information. It's that we don't apply enough of it. So we want to make sure that we're applying this information. This isn't just another place to sort of, I call it getting sort of obese on information, right? It's just more and not doing something with it, right? Yeah. In the same way that you need to eat a lot of calories to have a healthy diet, as long as you are, exercising, right? It's not just, it's more calories, right?
But wouldn't it be cool, Andy? Wouldn't it be cool if all we had to do was like understand the truth and we would have a 6-pack abs, and like if I understood I need to eat right and work out and I didn't actually have to do it. But
Wes, people, how cool. you know people who do that with information, right? You know that there's people that sort of just, I just need more. I need to read another book. And it's like, no, you need to do another book. Like you need to do what the last one said.
That's right.
Right. The last 17. And it's interesting though. And I don't want people to turn off the podcast when they hear this, but information and learning can be a place to hide from the doing, because the doing's harder, right? That's why less people do it and more people just sort of listen. So we've talked about this, and I want to make sure that we're prompting people, as much as we can to go and actually do the work. So tell us today specifically, what is the action that people need to invest themselves in so they're not just listening to another podcast?
Yeah, this is actually one of the core values in our organization that we talk about all the time. Every Thursday, if you were in one of our staff meetings, you would hear us go through one of our core values and actually express what that means. Mm-hmm. which is why I'm excited to have Cody and Justin on the call, because they're in those team meetings with us every Thursday. And this is one, we rotate them through, but this is so critical. And it really is one of those things that if you look across universally, advisor after advisor that are living a beautiful practice, this is a common denominator. And the way we put it in language is operate with passionate purpose. Operate with passionate purpose.
Well, and the alternative to that, I think, is we see, where are you going? What are you doing? They're just letting people, letting life happen to them.
That's
people that just, essentially they've taken their hand off the rudder, and it's whatever the way the wind blows, they go, right? And then they complain that they don't like the wind.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. And so, as Cody and Justin are here, and they'll chime in a bit here, but we want to make sure that people understand that the passionate purpose requires a revisiting, like, regularly, right? That's part of this. So where does it come from? Like, where do people go, great, a passionate purpose sounds great. Where do you get it?
Yeah. So here's to unpack this for you, because I think it centers around some of the things we've talked about historically that we need to come back to really ground this one. All of us, we talked about all of us are going to run out of time before we run out of all the ideas and opportunities we could go pursue. That is not, anybody that has lived any length of life understands that there's just more stuff you could spend time on than there's time to go after everything. And because of that reality, it creates something. It creates a gap between where we are and where we ultimately want to be. And that gap, the funny thing about it is the gap never goes away. It just moves. And so all of us, we run out of time, money, and ideas and opportunities before we could run out of all the opportunities we could pursue. Mm-hmm. But in that gap that we're navigating, because it never is fully finally satisfied, never ends. There's never an end. There's always another one. And we've spent whole episodes dissecting the gaps. I'm not going to do that again. But one of the things, two of the truths we've already talked about is, hey, have an exciting vision and a grateful condition as we navigate our gap, because it just helps us do life prettier. It helps us do life in a more beautiful way. One of the things that gives that fuel and that really helps us take that condition to a whole nother level of excellence and beauty is to operate with passion and purpose. So operating with passion and purpose, if you regularly identify your what and your why, your passionate purpose will help you thrive. And that really is the tangible piece there. My purpose when it comes to this business is what I'm specifically gonna want to unpack with you today is what have I identified? Have I identified my what and my why when it comes to fueling my passionate purpose that'll help me thrive in a way that's beautiful in this, as we like to say, this holistic fee-based financial planning company where you get paid for your advice first and foremost.
I'm going to ask this question of Cody and Justin. But first I want to ask you, Wes, why isn't I want to make as much money as possible? And it's not a rhetorical question. I don't know the answer.
Sure.
But because I think a lot of people live this way and they're like, hey, it's working for me, but, to some degree, but why isn't I'm here to, in the same way that if a coach said, I'm just here to win. Like, I don't care if I have to trip somebody. I don't care if I have to, skip third base on running home. Have you ever seen that highlight? It's actually a low light. Have you ever seen that? Where there's a kid and they see it, that all the attention is at home plate. This is a high school game. And this kid running from second completely skips third base. Not like by a foot, by like 7-8 feet. He just runs home and nobody catches. Nobody saw it. Right. And so he got away with it. In the same way that like that coach is like, don't care, skip third. I just want to win. Right. That an advisor would say, my job's to make money. I got to provide for my family. Yeah. Why is that not enough of a passionate purpose? Why doesn't that qualify?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with the example, but that's like a given, right? I mean, at least all the people I know, they want to make a lot of money. They want to make as much money as they possibly can. And that's not a bad thing. I want to make as much as we possibly can, but in context of my other things that I care about in life. Because if making as much money as I possibly can meant I need to rob a bank, I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not in on that one because it could lead to other things that I don't want to happen in my life. And,
Right.
Or if it meant that I need to, abandon my family or, not be able to take care of, people that matter to me because I'm making as much money as I possibly can. So I think that's fine. Like it's in there, right? But it's like a byproduct of the win when you do this right. So I think that you got to have a noble thing that transcends just what is a you. Otherwise, long term, it's just a really kind of internal, selfish way of doing life. And I don't know anybody pretty, anybody beautiful that has you would describe them as that person's really selfish, internal, and greedy. And what they're out for is to make as much money as they possibly can. That's their win. That's their what.
Yeah, period. I think the problem with that is they're out there to make as much money as they can, period. Because I think you are, and Cody and Justin and myself, like I'm out to make as much money as I can, but in the context of, right? Like when I play games, our team is currently 0-2-1, which is only good if you're a Canadian because they like ties and I'm an American and I hate ties. So I'd rather be 0-3, right? But our baseball team is not very good. I'm like, guys, you know what? I want you to have fun, but guess what's fun? Winning, So let's get better, right? So I want to win, but I'm not going to win at all costs. So we still want to win. We still want to make money. So let me ask you, Cody and Justin. Justin, you go first. Where does rubber hit the road? Like, what does this actually look like for you to have a passionate purpose beyond I want to make much money? As advisors are listening to this and they're saying, guys, what does this mean? Get practical with me. I want to make money. How does a passionate purpose play into that?
Yeah. So money, just to add on that, is a tool, right? Like it's not a destination. Having a lot of money gives you the ability to do things, but what is it that you're working towards? Like, why do you want to have a lot of money? Like, you have to stop and ask a question to figure out where you want to go. If it's even, I'll let Cody kind of tie it into the business side, but just on a personal note, like I'm big into fitness. We've talked about that on the back end before. Train professional athletes. I like to exercise. As I've gotten older and I don't have something necessarily that I'm competing for, it's gotten challenging. It's hard. Wes and I were talking about this. It's easy to have a little conversation, this internal negotiation that goes on. And I'm really good at negotiating out of like getting up at 5 a.m. to go exercise. But tying it back.
That's not a hard negotiation. I don't get up. Okay.
No, it's
wow.
It's
dominated that one.
But this is where the passionate purpose rubber meets the road of I've got little girls that are, 3. I've got one that's 17, one's 3, and one that's 7 months old. And I see people who have kids that are 50, 60 years old now that can't do anything with their kids. And then I see others because they're physically just not able. They're not moving right the way that they wish that they could and able to participate. And then I see others that maintain this like level of fitness and just general health that they're involved. Like my grandfather's mid 80s and is out there chopping down a tree. Like he can get in there and do everything. He doesn't do it the same way he used to, right? Like we're not swinging an axe the exact same way. But the point is I want to still be able to swing the axe with them when I'm 85, with my great grandkids and grandkids. Yeah. And so for me, it's tying back to like, you've got to find a reason that's bigger than yourself and just bigger than that internal negotiation in the moment that's going to cheapen it for you and cause you to take that short out of like some rest would be more beneficial. But long term, like for my objectives and where I'm going, the purpose of my kids, like to be there for them and to be able to participate in all of that, like that's bigger than, and that's where the passion comes in for. So I can get excited about something that I know is going to cause me some short-term discomfort, but it's getting me towards where I want to go.
So like when Sleepy Justin is negotiating with purpose-filled Justin, if purpose-filled Justin doesn't remember what he wants ultimately, he will succumb to what Sleepy Justin wants immediately, right?
Yeah. It's easy to justify. Like I don't want to wake the babies. So, they sound restless. So I'll go ahead and stay in bed, right?
That's so pathetic, bro. Using the child.
I'm not being selfish. It's the kids. It's for the kids' benefit, right?
For the children. Do it for
I'm going to stay in bed and pray this morning.
For those who, right. Yeah. I want to follow I want to really Sabbath. By the way, there is a time for rest, but it's not, it's not 13 hours a day. Cody, how does passionate purpose, what does it look like for you?
Yeah, I think our passion is what, we have multiple passions, I mean, our purpose in life, me personally, I got a purpose to be, a husband, a dad. I think our purpose is what guides us, because there's so much information out there, so many ways we could go every single day, but what is the one thing that I can do to move the needle in the direction I want to go to? So that putting that purpose, is kind of my guide, am I doing something that I want to, am I heading in the direction I want to go, and I was just thinking back, we send out a lot of books, and our purpose is to help our clients increase their profitability and their quality of life. So those books might be something spiritual, something self-help, some business management, but we've received a number of phone calls just talking about, they loved it. They're going to implement it in their business, or, maybe they're going through a tough time in their life that we didn't even know about, and the book just hit them. That's increased their quality of life. And that's, almost great. We're not selling a product. It's almost better than the product to receive those phone calls and know that you touched them and during a time of need. Or
I think that the important part of having a passionate purpose is it makes a lot of smaller decisions easier. Like something I teach my baseball players, and especially with this team I have right now, which is full of kids who have never played baseball, which is fascinating. But because I have to go back to the basics with like teenagers who, a lot of kids have been playing for 5-10 years. They're brand new. A lot of these kids are brand new. And I have to remind them, and I think this ties in perfectly, is you have to make the decision before you make the decision. Meaning, before the ball comes to you, you have to know what you're going to do. So I'll be really frank with, we're 4 men here. If a woman hits on you, then you go, okay, I've already made a decision. I'm going to be faithful to my wife. So if this person hits on me, I have already made the decision. I'm not going to reciprocate that because I already made this other decision, right? In the same way with business, I'm going to make this business decision because I know this is the kind of company we are. I call it the grocery store test, which is actually like, if I see this person in the grocery store after I make this decision, am I going to suddenly like find a different aisle, or am I going to go, hey, how you doing? Right. You want to be able to like see people in public and be proud of what you do. Right. And that's the passion. I think where the passionate purpose says, if I have this passionate purpose, it informs all these other decisions. It's easier for Justin to wake up because he says, listen, I already made this decision that I want to be able to, play with my kids when I'm Andy's age. Right. That was a joke, by the way. I don't know how much older I am, but I think that's a great, and especially when times get tough, I would say this for those who are running a business right now, when times get tough and if you forget your purpose, you can compromise. You can say, man, I just really got to make some money right now. So I'm going to sell this product that probably isn't a great fit for them. No, that's outside your purpose. You got to stay true to your purpose, which is I want to have lifelong customers and always do the right thing for them. So, Wes, what are some other elements of this? Any other people in history, any other sort of guiding principles that we can add to just, I guess, puff up or make stronger this idea? You have to have a passionate purpose if you want to really have a good life, a beautiful life.
Yeah, there's a quote. If you've ever heard of the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, he was in a concentration camp, and which is possibly the worst possible thing any human could have experienced in time. And he came out of this with such an amazing perspective and wrote an amazing book. If you haven't ever read that book, it's an incredible book. You ought to read it.
Wes, when you got the book, Man's Search for Meaning, let me ask, I know you're an audio guy. Did you get that physical book?
I got the audio book.
Okay. So were you surprised when it was probably like, I don't know, it's probably a couple out, maybe now. I mean, here's the thing. When I got the book, I was like, that's it. Like the size of it is so small.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the book that I've heard referenced literally hundreds of times.
That's right.
From hundreds of different people of like, this is the book that is the book about focusing on what is worthwhile and important. And I was like, it's like 100 pages, right? So let me ask this. Why is this book so powerful? And how does Frankl sort of frame life in a way that so many people talk about this book so many years later?
Yeah. So he has this incredible quote that I think it really speaks to so much that's in the book. But he says that life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but by lack of meaning and purpose. And if you think of it, one of the things Viktor Frankl said over and over again is the people that made it through the concentration camp and came out on the other side of it were the people that continued to create, even in those dire circumstances, a meaning and a purpose. And for some of them, it was things like, hey, because I mean, you could try and run to the fence and they would shoot you and put you out of your misery in that environment. Mm-hmm. Or you could suffer and struggle and have lack of food. Viktor Frankl would tell people, hey, if you let them, if you try to escape and you let them shoot you, then that's the end. But if they force you, if they see that over and over again, no matter what they do to you, you're going to continue to persevere, then we don't let them win. And so the purpose became, we are going to survive together so that ultimately one day, and there is no deadline to this, it was optimism without a deadline. We're going to come out thriving on the other side because we need to build together. We need to survive together. So I really, and that's like a super extreme example, but it really is. There's stuff in everybody's business and everything you do every day that you would prefer not to do it probably. That's just life, right? There are things out there. Now we got whole podcasts on how to do less of those things and more of the things you do like, but the deal is it's not circumstances. It's not made unbearable by circumstances by lack of meaning and purpose. One, never establishing what it is. And that's why I think it's so critical, specifically we talked about vision, but I want to get deep into how it practically applies to a financial business today. Establishing it in the first place and having it be exciting enough to where when you remember it and you come back to it, fuels you. It fuels you to make the stuff that's in front of you. It's just not that big a deal because it becomes less about the circumstance and more about what I'm going through those circumstances so I can get over there and get to the next thing. And I've got to have passion and energy for it.
Justin, I want to ask you, and again, I don't say anything that requires me to, disappear, but like you've been on missions, right? I mean, not like Christian mission, but like you have been on a mission that our taxpayers have paid for. And it's like, here is our objective. And it's very clear. And I only know enough to know that some of those missions were beyond unbearable, beyond difficult. Like I could not physically fathom how difficult some of those missions were. Is it because you knew, like, we have our orders, we have our, the mission, when the mission is more clear, you're willing to go through it versus like, just do the best you can, right? Like, how do you get through really, or how does having a really clear mission empower you and your team, to complete it? How does that play a factor? And here's another question. Were you ever on a mission that didn't have a clear outcome?
No. So the short answer would be no. Never was on a mission that didn't have a clear outcome as far as the desired outcome of why we were doing what we're doing. And I tell you, you really have to have a very good understanding of what that is to cause you to want to, go through a door that somebody's shooting through, right? Like why am I going in?
Did everyone's brain just sort of like stop? Like, why would you go through a door that someone's shooting through? Like, those are the doors you run from, right?
By the way, just as an aside, this is a podcast for financial advisors. So your worst thing is compliance calls you and says, hey, we got to do an
reviewing
audit,
something,
right?
Yeah.
So I just want to put that in context.
Meanwhile, Justin is running at a door that he sees bullets coming out of.
That's right.
But this is no different than, we've seen it, right? We see this on 9/11. We've got videos. People going down, firemen going up, right? Yep. They're running towards danger. So, Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. Same thing, same concept of like, you really have to know why you're doing what you're doing. And you have to believe in it. Like, you have to be passionate about it and the desired outcome that you're hopeful for. And there's a degree of faith that comes into play. Like, regardless of your religious faith, like, you have to believe in something and why you're doing what you're doing to drive you forward in it, right? Like, there's in those environments or just in life, there's a degree of like survivability that your mind will just naturally like deter to. But once it gets past that and you're back in this point of like cognitive thought about it, why I'm doing what I'm doing, life's uncomfortable and it gives you a reason to to walk away from it at any point in time. Even in those instances, we could have retreated a number of times in a number of scenarios that I can think of, but you got to find a reason to do it anyways. Like, why are you doing it? And what's the motivation behind it, to where you can run at it with passion, even if it means that's the last run you make.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the perspective and experience you've been through and the value it adds to us today. I think that one phrase that we might wrap with is that there's a lot of opportunities for retreat. There's a lot of, I'm done. I quit. I'm not going to do that. That's too hard. And I think the reason, Wes, your example of Viktor Frankl is the best example is it's the closest thing to the worst thing that we could ever imagine. I mean, I would really love for someone to try to tell me what's worse than being in a concentration camp.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if Viktor Frankl's words are that after going through that, this is not a delusional man that was scribbling. This was a very thoughtful, and he wrote other things, but if that's true of him, then it's true of me. It's true of if that's true, because my life is, I'm not running at doors with bullets coming out of them. I'm not in a concentration camp. But if it's true for them, then it's true for me today, in air conditioning, with electricity, with food, in safety. So, Wes, go ahead and wrap us up here.
Yeah, well, I think I want to give handles to this, Andy, for the people. Again, this is applicable to any business owner, but specifically for the financial advisor. Is what is your what and your why? And what I mean by that is, what is your bumper sticker win in this business? And it's not a mission statement, it's not a vision statement. Okay, I think those things are great, but oftentimes they're very long in their effort to be complete. It's like they're not memorable, not portable. They sit on a wall and they're like, we are the holistic fee-based financial advisor that meets all the needs of the people in the greater community of the world better than the rest of the world. And it goes on. And we sell these 18 things and it's all true, right? But it's not memorable, powerful, or portable. And so when I'm talking about a mission statement or a win, I mean, when I'm talking about your what is your bumper sticker win in this business? For us, we help people create more than they consume. We help people. That was our old one. We updated it to, we inspire people to increase their profitability and quality of life. We inspire people to increase their profitability and quality of life. Now, that was what I was doing at the kitchen table at night at the beginning of 20 years ago when I started. Right. When I was trying to help them understand their need for term insurance so that if somebody died, they wouldn't be in a bad position if the primary breadwinner died. It's what I do when we talk to them today about how they can repurpose money that's going away unnecessarily to the IRS back to their own retained earnings. And it's what I do when we talk about their standard of care on their liquidity to one day make work optional or to keep it that way once it already is. And it's what we do when we talk about, hey, if you die and you have this large estate and money all of a sudden owed in this estate tax, what's that's going to do to the people that are impacted by the thumbprint of your life? So it encompasses everything. And, there's hundreds of thousands of strategies out there, Eddie, and combinations of them. The thing about this win is it helps make that world of all those strategies very small when you learn the client story. And we're going to talk more about that later in a future episode. But it's the what for us is that bumper sticker, that single phrase. We help people create more than they consume. Second is you need to know why that matters. It's kind of the so what, right? So if you're listening today, that the takeaway is practical application here is you need to know your what, you need to know your why. For us, if you were sitting in one of our team meetings, you would hear somebody say, well, first we help people, we inspire people to increase their profitability and quality of life. And then what would happen next is they say, why? Well, because in our effort to get the most out of life, it's really easy to live a margin-less life. And in so doing, miss out on some of the things that matter most in life. So unless we understand that people are busy and they're out there and there's more things to do than there's time, they won't stop long enough to really identify for themselves, what's my story that I'm in right now? Where am I trying to go? And in light of that, what are the things I need to think about that are going to help me increase my profitability and my quality of life? Increase my profitability and quality of life. So tons of application for it. It makes the world a lot of finance a lot smaller than it is if without it. Because otherwise, every strategy or tactic or idea sounds good. Yeah. But if you can center it down to the win, to what is your bumper sticker win? You can borrow ours. We help people. We inspire people to increase their profitability and quality of life. Why do we do that? Because in our effort to get the most out of life, it's just really easy to live a marginless life and miss out on some of the things that all of us would say matter most in life. At the end of the day, it's our heart there is the real definition of financial planning that we love. Carl Richards' definition is about the constant alignment of the use of capital, time, energy, talent, money, assets to the things you really care about. And that's what our what and our why help us do.
Absolutely. Well, I want to end with a word of encouragement and also an application for all of you. A great time if you feel like you don't have direction to choose a direction is today. Like you can do that today. You can go from wandering to, no, I actually have a vision for what I want to do. I'm going to make a commitment to something larger than just making money. And that will get you through. And the good news, as Wes stated, is it doesn't mean you have to run through doors with bullets coming out of them. But it does mean that you work in a difficult business and that you need to have a greater purpose for what you're doing. Otherwise, you'll probably quit. And that's not a good outcome. And I also want to encourage you, if you want some more practical guided, advice on this, then I do want you to go to wesyounglive.com, and there you'll find some opportunities to form your commitment, to form systems, to create a map to follow, and a mission to complete, on a more regular basis through learning through some of the programs that Wes and his team have made. So we hope you'll check those out. And as always, thank you so much for listening to the show. We do appreciate you wherever you are, what are you doing, for listening. And we hope that you'll continue to tune in and share the show with others. Justin, Cody, Wes, thanks for being here today, guys. Appreciate you.